They burned my pad.
Oh, hey guys. It's me, Snorka Orca. I'm just getting really excited. I'm about to join the military soon. And you know what, guys? To be honest, what really got me in the mood to, destroy cultures and history for money and oil is... It's gonna sound silly, but it's the fact that you guys voted so overwhelmingly on Klump for the next Donkey Kong character whose species I should classify next, and... Oh, hell. Since we're on the topic, why don't we just get into it? What species of crocodile is Klump from the Donkey Kong franchise? So first off, I'm gonna just take this off, because that's my dog sneezing in the background. I don't know if you can hear him. Indy! Hey buddy. He's a little baby boy. He can barely hear me. He's old, actually. He's not a baby boy. He's like pretty much completely deaf. I sure hope nobody takes this delicious cracker off of the table. Indy! Oh, it's the, oh! Whoa! Whoa! Whoops, wait. Fell.
No, it fell off the table. That sucks. Well, at least someone's cleaning it up.
Yeah, at least someone's cleaning it up. Good boy, Indy. Good job. Anyway, why am I rolling up my sleeves? As always, to find out what species of crocodile Klump is, we're gonna have to look at some of his key traits first.
Loading. Klump traits.
Color-wise, Klump, I guess kind of like in the original Donkey Kong Country game, he's like a brown with kind of like a purplish tint. He gets more purple in Donkey Kong Country 2 and in Donkey Kong 64, but for some reason in the Donkey Kong Country cartoon show, he's like a dark green, and then in some like, kind of spin-off games like Barrel Blast, he is just brown. It's pretty safe to just say that, he's brown, maybe like a dark green. He does, however, pretty consistently have yellow counter shading. He's a big, round, and wide. In terms of size, he is about twice the height of Donkey Kong when he's standing on his knuckles, I guess. And according to the internet, Donkey Kong is about like 6'1", so Klump would therefore be around 12'2". However, that's not really taking into consideration his tail. So I estimated that would add about like 1 foot of length if he were to lay down. So we're gonna say that Klump is about 13 feet and 2 inches tall. Some unique traits that Klump has is that he has exposed upper and lower teeth. His kind of like upper jaw overlaps his lower jaw. I'm sure many of you know this, but Klump has nipples. Reptiles don't have nipples, so I don't even know why I'm saying this. We're not going to find a match, but I thought I would include it anyway. Maybe Klump lactates? Who knows? Just something to think about. Leave a comment down below if you think Klump lactates or not. And last but not least, for kind of like unique physical traits, is that Klump likes to wear varieties of helmets and hats, which I assume is for head protection. He wears kind of just like a normal military helmet, a pirate hat, and in like Barrel Blast and those really good games, he's wearing a bucket on his head. So, he has head protection. Klump kind of like does quick patrolling. He's pretty fast, I want to say. In my opinion, I think he's pretty fast. but maybe that's just because of how he moves. He kind of does a waddle with very exaggerated movements where he's swinging his arms around. Klump also likes to, I guess, sort of stick to the theme of whatever K. Rool has set for the Kremlings in the game, whether it be in Donkey Kong Country 1, where they're all kind of in military attire, or Donkey Kong Country 2, where they are all in pirate attire. To me, this signifies that he might be a team player, and adding on to that, he is K. Rool's second in command in the Donkey Kong Country cartoon, so really just kind of shows to me that Klump might value teamwork. Klump also lives near saltwater, looking kind of at their specific habitats. They live in swamps, jungles, caves, and factories. The first candidate I thought of, especially when thinking of a crocodile that is wide and big like Klump, is the Mugger crocodile. Appearance-wise, they're kind of like an olive brown, which they have going with Klump. However, they do kind of lack significant counter shading, but you know, they're fat and wide and they're round and plump. The size isn't really a perfect match. Males kind of range from like about 9'10" to 11'6". Their upper jaw doesn't significantly overlap their lower jaws. Their teeth aren't very exposed. Doesn't have any like head protection. Yada yada yada. I'm gonna let you know something right now. It's not the Mugger crocodile. I mean, it doesn't really live in saltwater. It lives in swamps, which is similar to where Klump is. Blah 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 blah. I'm telling you right now, it's not the Mugger crocodile. It was my first thought though, just because of how wide they are. Sort of the second crocodile I thought of was the Cuban crocodile. So right off the bat with the Cuban crocodile, it has like dark green scales and yellow counter shading. Very good. It is a little plump and round, I would say, in my opinion. They're kind of fat, or they can at least get kind of fat. However, they're pretty small. Adults kind of get up to be around 7 to 7.5 feet. They do have kind of like bony plates on their head, which acts as head protection, which is something cool and interesting to note. Its upper jaw kind of like slightly overlaps its lower jaw. They do have exposed upper and lower teeth. And something that is also kind of nice to note about them is that they are known for galloping at very high speeds. And when they gallop around, they have very exaggerated movements. So that kind of matches with how Klump swings his arms around whenever he paces back and forth. Socially, they're also a very good match for Klump. These are kind of like the only like crocodilian species that is known to actively seek out pack hunting behavior. There are a lot of crocodilians that do hunt in packs, but that's kind of like mostly out of like coincidence. Unfortunately, the Cuban crocodile avoids salt water, and it's mostly terrestrial, kind of just stays on land. And on land, you can find it in places like swamps and marshes, which at the very least is a match. Now, there is actually a problem going on right now where American crocodiles are mating with the Cuban crocodiles to create Cuban American crocodiles. Now, I couldn't find like really good information on the specific mix, so I honestly don't know what a Cuban American crocodile is like or what their traits are. However, just for the sake of, you know, being hypothetical and finding a match for Klump, we're gonna take a look at maybe how this, I guess, hybrid could pretty accurately reflect Klump. This hybrid could maybe have kind of like a dark grayish green color, kind of looking a little bit similar to Klump in the Donkey Kong Country cartoon. It could also have yellow counter shading, could be plump and round. Combining the average size of the Cuban crocodile with the average size of the American crocodile is much closer to how big Klump is. This hybridization could also maybe enable for this crocodile to have a more prominent overlapping upper jaw, an armored head, exposed upper and lower teeth, maybe combining the speed of the Cuban crocodile with the waddling of the American crocodile. We could get something like how Klump moves. That would be pretty cool. It could possibly retain its strategic pack hunting abilities and instincts. It would be able to thrive in salt water and maybe even spend time in places like coastal mangroves, swamps, ponds, coves, and creeks, and maybe even, you know, dilly-dally and head up into town and, you know, take a stroll through the factory. I don't know. With the Cuban American crocodile, there are also some thematic connections. Of course, there's the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was a military conflict between America and Cuba. Where are America and Cuba located in relation to each other overseas? Who travels the seven seas as a pirate? Klump. I also just kind of wanted to quickly just give out a disclaimer. I want to acknowledge the fact that while it's fun to look at how Klump could, you know, hypothetically maybe be similar to, you know, a Cuban American crocodile hybrid, I don't think it's funny in any way that the Cuban crocodile species is kind of like being whittled down by invasive American crocodiles. The Cuban crocodiles are just like my favorite species of crocodile. They're very unique. I highly recommend you looking into them if you're interested in reptiles at all. They really stand out among the other crocodilian species, so really is a bummer to seeing their numbers dwindle as a result of American crocodiles, you know, moving over there as a result of like human activity, just kind of like pushing them away. But yeah, hypothetically, Klump might be the Cuban American crocodile hybrid. So that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, leave a comment about, you know, maybe what Donkey Kong character I should look at next to classify as a species, or you could just comment whether or not you think Klump lactates. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye.